Now it's time to go on with the reading of the next page, page 18.
Then the crowds began to thin out. Which boat do you think will win tomorrow? Shouted Sukumaran, turning his head back to where Kuttan sat in the rear of the boat. Karichal 1 or Karichal 2?
Karichal 1 will win the trophy.
Kuttan replied confidently. Is it true, Kuttan? The whole village is saying that Karur Neelkant Pillai is going to sell one of his two boats. Sukumaran asked.
Yes, it's true.
Kuttan sighed.
He can't afford to keep both the Karichals anymore. So, he said that whichever one loses in the race tomorrow will be sold. But your father is a wonderful captain of Karichal 1.
Protested Sukumaran, quite agitated.
Yes, but so is Keswan's father, who is the captain of Karichal 2.
Kuttan replied. They turned into a side canal where there was no traffic on the waters at all. The banks were a riot of colorful flowers. The boys turned into another canal and the scenery changed. The sun was setting on the backwaters. The clouds began to change from white to saffron, then a fiery red, then pink. Slowly it became shadowy on the canal. Sukumaran looked around apprehensively. I haven't been here before. We won't get lost, will we? I think it's time we got back,
Don't worry, I know this canal very well.
replied Kuttan. The dugout turned a corner, and Sukumaran gave a gasp of awe. In the fading twilight, they could see the two boats standing side by side at the bank.
There they are, Karichal 1 and Karichal 2.
Kuttan announced proudly.
I helped Achan to decorate Karichal 1 for tomorrow.
They look identical, don't they? Sukumaran observed.
Yes, except for the 1 and 2.
Kuttan said. The boys sat silent for a moment in the shadows of the bank. The two boats were a beautiful sight. They were decorated with multicolored silk parasols and gold tassels. Sukumaran looked at the colorful spirals carved on the bows and sterns of the two churulans with awe and admiration. He was about to ask another question when they suddenly heard a loud hammering. The boys froze, hardly daring to breathe. The hammering was coming from Karichal 1. Who is it? Whispered Sukumaran.
Shh, let's wait and see.
Kuttan mouthed the words. Suddenly, two figures stood up in the churulan. They looked around cautiously. Then, picking up their lungis, they leapt onto the bank. The cloth fell from their lantern. Picking it up, they sprinted away into the darkness.
Let's move on with the story. As the two boys left the marketplace in their canoe, Sugumaran rowed the boat. Both the boys discussed about the next day's boat race and the expected winner out of the two boats, Karichal 1 and Karichal 2. Kuttan's father was the captain of Karichal 1 boat, whereas Kesavan's father was the captain of Karichal 2 boat. Both of these boats belonged to a person called Neelakantha Pillai, and he was planning to sell one of these boats which would lose the race next day. So, as they rode from one canal to another, they saw banks decorated with riots of colorful flowers, which means that the banks were decorated with different variety of colorful flowers. In the fading twilight, the sight, the astonishing sight of the two decorated boats, Karichal 1 and Karichal 2, standing side by side at the bank caught the attention of the two boys. Sugumaran observed how identical the two boats looked, whereas Kuttan highlighted the difference in the numbers 1 and 2. As the boys were marveling the decoration of the boat with multicolored silk parasols or the large umbrellas and gold tassels, colorful spirals, in awe and admiration, they heard something. What was that, learners? It was loud hammering coming from Karichal 1. Both of the boys watched silently. Do you know what did they see? Two figures stood up, looked around, leapt onto the bank. Suddenly, cloth from their lateen fell. One of them picked it up and sprinted away into the darkness. Do you know who were they? Don't worry, we will come to know about them very soon.